What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna talk to you about Ivan Petrovich Pavlov. This dude was born around 1849, 250 miles away from Moscow, Russia, in a place called Ryazan. I'm just saying that how it looks. His father was a priest, but he also taught classical languages, Greek and Latin. His mother was the daughter of a priest, and he had two uncles who were also priests, but were kind of not bad dudes, but just not the typical priest. Um, After that, you feel me? He kind of just did his own thing. Around age 10, he experienced a great fall or a severe fall, as the book said, and this led to him being essentially held back so he could recover. And so he went and kicked it with his godfather. Um, his godfather would influence him for the rest of his life, in the sense that he didn't really care for worldly matters, but he had extreme attention to detail. Um, this led to him studying priesthood for a short time, but around age 21, he enrolled into a military medical school, a medical academy in St. Petersburg. It was like some ridiculous amount far away, and he walked the whole way. So it's psychopath. He could have rode a horse, something. Um, Here he studied physiology under Elias Sion, is how I'm gonna pronounce that also, who was the successor of Shishinov, or however you pronounce that. Um, so he got there in 1870 and began that. It wasn't until 1879 he finally got his degree. So think about that. He studied for 9 years natural science to get that degree. That's absolutely crazy. After this, he pursued a degree in medicine after the reading, this is really what he enjoyed, it seemed like. He enjoyed the natural science, obviously, and biology and things, but he was really into medicine in the sense of just how things worked, you know? And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But anyways, he was so good with medicine that he got his own lab, essentially, in around 1883. So he was the director of his own lab, and this is where he did start studying digestion. Like, he was so into it, like he was just searching for ways to do it where like he could have legitimate experiments. So there was one, he went to the point where he found some dude who had a gunshot in his stomach, and it was just an open wound, essentially, an open scar, whatever you want to call it, so you could see into his stomach and see how things work. Well, eventually he found a way to use it in animals, and so he would somehow get within their digestive system and then studied like the process of how it all worked. Like, he was just really obsessed with that for a long time. It's kind of weird to read, but that's just what he was into. And then how I felt at least, one of his first big things was conditioned and unconditioned reflex. So essentially, a conditioned reflex would be a dog hearing footsteps and then salivating. So the unconditioned of that is obviously, well, yeah, the unconditioned reflex would be the biology of the dog. So food, salivation, right? They see the food, you give them food, they start salivating. So then you give them a neutral stimulus, which would be the footsteps of you approaching with the food, which leads to salvation, which then, again, you create that conditioned reflex where they hear footsteps, now they associate that with food, so now they're already salivating. And that was like one of his first big things. I thought that was kind of cool how he came up with that and started discussing that. As far as him, like, he was kind of, in my opinion, he was kind of a goofball. Like, he was really serious about his laboratories and all his studies and stuff, but like outside of that, he once forgot his paycheck and then gave it to a homie, and homie went and blew it all, and like he couldn't get that money back. Like, who does that? You don't forget your damn paycheck. So that was like, I read that and I'm like, yeah, okay. But he's just a goofball. And they lived in poverty for most of their life. But his wife was cool with it, you feel me? She did what she could. She held it down. And yeah, they were just happy. But like I said, personally, I think he's kind of a goofball. As far as his attitude towards psychology, um, he was rocking with Thorndike as far as people who he liked. And Thorndike obviously was systematic, studied objectively when you talk about research and process of animals, stuff like that. And I think overall that's how Pavlov got through his ideas and all of his studies was through the use of animals. Continuously throughout the chapter, that's what it discussed, was how he just used animals over and over and over again. Not in a mean way or anything, but like that was his go-to, obviously, because just given the times. Eventually, February 27th, 1936, exact date for you, he died at the age of 87. So he lived to be pretty old. And he died of pneumonia, sadly. Which, man, that's pretty common back then. But yeah, that's Pavlov. Thank you.